say a word because there's a conspiracy. There's millions of dollars being made from this. They're selling out our country and our birthright. They're selling our passports. They're selling them. And they don't care. They're making their money. And they will attack activists like me, say great accent. As Bahamians, we have to put politics aside, and we have to do that urgently. They always divide us with politics. But at this time, we have to put politics aside and act as Bahamians. And I've been experiencing over the last few days, especially since they brought the tanks in the back then, the machine guns to us. I've been experiencing people from all parties, PLPs, F&M, saying that they can't take this. They see what happened. They see what's going on. They see. Bahamians are not foolish people. Now we're quiet. We'll wait till we can go secretly in the box and get rid of you. That's our nature. They see what's going on. For this one, we can't wait for 5 years to go into that box.
We got to move quickly.
We have to do something. We have to. Because when you see the government appears like they're acting on behalf of others,
Coming up.
That's a serious problem, Steve. That's a serious.
19 minutes behind the hour, 5 o'clock in the city. This is Hard Copy, and we are on live today with Lincoln Bain. He visits the Friday tradition today on Hard Copy because there's so many things that we should be talking about, must talk about, and some of these things just can't wait. And we're talking exclusively today about this whole bit about the asylum bill. Now, of course, a lot of people have their own viewpoints about the asylum bill, but the majority of people that I've spoken to in recent times since Lincoln Bain came up with this whole matter with the asylum bill have been totally unbelievable. Like their whole thing is that, listen, this cannot be healed. What is the government doing? That's a big question people want to know. Ray Davis' government is not saying anything much about that. They've been talking about this equality bill for the most part, but the whole thing kind of like hitches upon this whole situation with the asylum bill. And there's some things inside this asylum bill that was read right here on this show by a person who was at that particular meeting. He read the transcript from it and says, this thing is actually happening. And Bahamians are the last people to know. And so today we decided that maybe we should talk about this asylum bill in full detail, just so that we can understand what is actually happening. Now, of course, the government of the Bahamas has yet to say anything along the lines of the asylum bill to make sure that this is actually happening through legislation. And they have been hiding behind that. In fact, I had Robin Lyons on the show last week, and the whole thing was that she don't know what that's all about. This is just propaganda stuff, basically, she said. And nobody really agrees with her. They believe that what Lincoln is saying, because Lincoln has been a leader in many regards. That's what's happening. And they've got to get used to that, because since he's a leader, people are listening to what he has said and what he's been saying. And this asylum bill speaks to the issue of people coming here in the Bahamas and deciding that they're going to stay here for at least 6 months. The government is going to take care of them, pay them, and all that kind of stuff. If they ain't got no work, they're going to still get paid nonetheless. All these, and these things are an affront. These things are abrasive to the Bahamian people. So people, we are hoping that you're going to listen in today so that you can hear one more time what Lincoln has been talking about. He'd done a town meeting. There's a very large town meeting that they had just about 2 weeks ago. And at that town meeting, people left that town meeting. I mean, they were livid. The whole thing was that this cannot be so. In fact, a lady called me and she said, Steve, if this is what Mr. Davis and them are doing, I am going to turn down my plate. I cannot be praying for them no more. I want the Lord to take back everything I said. That's how upset she was about this whole situation with the people, the other people coming here, taking up residence. And she says the thing about it is that we don't get that kind of treatment here in the Bahamas.
No, we don't.
As native Bahamians, we don't get that kind of treatment at all. So how in the devil can these guys offer such a treatment to anybody else? So they were all upset about this whole thing. And we've been around, we've talked about it to a lot of people. We have a lot of circles that we've been moving in. And basically, the people are very concerned. They're very concerned. They're concerned more so that Ryan Pinder has been the one who's been perpetrating this particular bill, this fraud. That's what some people are calling it, because he has not really said anything definitive about what's going to happen in this bill, except he's been saying it's a gender bill. He's left it as that. He's not gotten into any details really about what this bill is really all about. And we have to ask a big question: is this an asylum bill? Let's get cut to the chase. Is this an asylum bill that we're really dealing with? And if it is, boy, that's going to be a shame on us. If it is. Now, of course, the Parliament doesn't go back until about mid-month this time around, September. And when they do go back, they will be passing a number of bills, a whole trade of bills that they want to pass, including the environmental bill and all kinds of bills like that. But there's no mention really of an asylum bill. And so we're going to ask that question pointed today at Mr. Lincoln Bain about what's this bill all about, what is really trying to do, and how can he help to educate us on this particular topic and this bill. Good afternoon, Lincoln Bain. How are you, sir?
Good afternoon, Steve. I am awesome. How are you doing, man?
Good shape, good shape. Always in good shape. When I see you, I get in better shape, and I say, boy, at least I try and lose some weight. Lincoln, we put it on. That's a good thing. for me, not for you, but
Yeah.
anyhow, that's what's happening. But listen, Lincoln, I mean, if we're going to cut through the chase of this whole thing, what is this really all about? Is it an equality bill just by making sure that woman and man get the same equal treatment? Or is this a bill that really goes a little deeper, dwells a little deeper into an asylum bill that's really going to really put something behind the people at this particular stage of the game?
Yeah, one thing you always have to be careful of, and something they teach you in political science, is about a Trojan horse bill. And so what that is that sometimes there are laws that you want to bring to the people, but they're not really going to accept it. So you bring a law that they would accept. You bring something and you promote the part of it that they would accept. And in between there somewhere, you put something that you really don't want. So I describe this as when Phil used to have the meat packages, all right, where he would have the stuff in they want, and then he would have something in there that you would never normally buy that he wants to get rid of. He would push it in there, and that's really what you have to be careful of.
This is still the food store man.
Yes, Phil, the food store man. Yes, the late. And so this is what we have to be careful of. The last time they tried to bring this bill, I went on the radio. I was talking to the world. I was telling everybody that they didn't need to pass a law to bring this bill. They didn't need to have a referendum. That they could just pass a law to bring whatever bill they wanted reference to citizenship. And I quoted Article 13 of the Constitution. And people didn't listen. They felt like, we need to just do this in the Constitution because that's where it needs to be codified. And I told them they didn't have to do it. Why are they doing it? And the reason I said it is because there seemed to be some other agenda. It was something else they wanted in the Constitution. And for everyone, it started to become clear that it seemed to be about that part where they were talking about sex and sexuality. And it seems like that's what they were trying to plug in there with these other things that we won't accept because it was about gender. And no one is against gender equality. No one is. But we are against politicians thinking that we are dumb and thinking that they can just throw these things down our throat. And that was really what it was about. And so Bahamians rejected it. And so every time you try to bring bills with other bills, we kind of identify it, and we're not accepting the Trojan horse. This is what they're trying to do again. The Free National Movement government was presenting this bill. This bill, in entirety was not just a normal edit or amendment to a regular bill. This bill, this demonic bill, I will call it, was an actual bill to replace several of our existing laws. Our existing laws that protect our sovereignty and protect the one thing that is most valuable to us, our nationality. All right. And so this bill, the purpose of this bill was to replace the immigration bill. And when you look at the way they start this bill, they actually say a bill for an act to repeal the Bahamas Nationality Act and the Immigration Act and reform the law on nationality and immigration and to make provisions for asylum and for connected purposes. And so this bill was to obliterate the protections that we have in the Bahamas Nationality Act and the Immigration Act that has some stuff to protect us. And what this is doing is opening up the doors. And so Minnis was just going to bring this. All right. And you can see Minnis doesn't care. He just throws things down your throat. He will have a lockdown and tell you, well, this is effective 3 hours ago and no one can come out. And if you come out, you're going to get locked up. So Minnis had that attitude. But Brave Davis is trying to be, have more finesse with it. He's trying to have more diplomacy. And so he realizes that, listen, especially with us out there, there's no way that they're going to bring this bill and the Bahamian people won't know about it. And so they decided to dissect it and to give it to you piece, the parts that you can dissect.
Spoon feed you.
Yes. And so like how they say you boil a frog, you just increase it piece by piece. So they want to first bring the part that they know that everyone would accept. And that is where they're talking about, gender equality and that kind of stuff. But see, the problem with this is, Steve, they can take any element of this bill, which they said they would do, and they can introduce it into the first part that we would accept. And they can put one line or one paragraph in there. And this is the problem. You're not in the House. I'm not in the House. The FNM and PLP is in the House. Both of them wanted to bring this bill. So we can't trust them to say what is in this, because once it's read in the House,
talking on the next.
Right. Once it's read in the House, it's too late. It's over. And so they could just push this through and say, listen, it's done. What are you going to do? You can't move us for another 4 years.
Isn't that what the case really is now? If in fact they're going to just push it through and they tell us that, look, it's already been done. There's nothing you can do except that you can accept this bill and leave it for what it is, because we are going to be stuck because they have the majority anyhow.
Well, see, the government can bring any law it wants. That doesn't mean that any law they bring is going to stand. All right. There's been times when the government has thought they could do whatever it wants, and then their law was overthrown. Remember that Ingram brought a law that put a minimum sentence on gun possession. You remember that? And the court said, yeah, we see your law, but that law is unconstitutional. So every time it comes before the court, once the person challenges it, it's going to get thrown out. Because your law, yes, you have a right to bring any law you want. No one can tell the government they can't bring a law. The court doesn't have to uphold their law, and the court has to final say, because they are the guardians of the Constitution.
Yeah. But listen, on a point of note, Denise Lewis Johnson, she just did a ruling the other day in the justice, because what had happened? This person went to court and said that they were looking at getting a divorce because a woman went to court and said she was looking to get a divorce because her husband is straight. But the headline read that there is no such thing like murder of rape in this whole situation that appeared before Mrs. Johnson. You see, and I'm saying on the back side of that, it is because the law wasn't even written along the lines where she had some kind of steadyment, some kind of steady purpose to say, well, this is what the law says, so she can sentence the man for some time in jail or whatever she wanted to do. There was no law. Obi Wilshire and those have not brought any law to the parliament yet, as far as knowing what the new laws are. And this first year of the PLP government, they have not yet done so. No laws have been passed. And so Louis Johnson, the justice, she had to go by what was there. And
Yes.
there was no law there.
Mhm.
So this is another case now. There was
Yes.
no law there, so she had to let the woman say, well, she was raped, and that's what she said. But there was no law for rape. There was nothing in the Constitution for talking about rape, and that she was raped by her husband.
Mhm.
You see the point? You see what I'm saying?
Yes. And so our laws are always the most backwards laws.
Mhm.
And anyone who goes around, the different countries, they know even if you've went to UE and Barbados, etc., you'll know that they always tease us about our laws. Our laws are really backwards. Our laws are only changed based on the motivation of the politicians and the persons who pay their bills. They pass laws based on the international community, what they want passed. So they'll come out quick and bring a law to protect turtle and fish, but won't bring a law to protect people. They won't bring a law to protect our women. They won't bring a law to protect our children, but they'll go quick to say we got to protect the dogs and we got to protect everyone else. And that's not a problem, but it's priorities, And we got to get it together. All right. So it's going to be very difficult for that law to pass in terms of marital rape while you're in the house living together, because there's an evidential issue, and at that point anyone who's mad with their husband can just make an accusation because it's your word against theirs, and you might have lawfully had sex that morning, but that night she said no, but what's the evidence there was sex,
Understood.
but she just says, and they may be mad with each other, and so that's some of the problem. And so these are things that's going to have to be worked through. I don't believe anyone should force anyone to have sex with them. I don't want to have sex with no one who doesn't want to have sex with me. But at the end of the day, charging someone with marital rape is the same as charging someone that you live in your house with trespass. Okay, so there are other things that are there for them.
So the justice was absolutely correct.
Yeah, she was correct. And so there's other things that they can be charged with. And so you can't charge someone who lives in your house lawfully with trespass, which is kind of what rape is. You're trespassing. You're not allowed to be in there. You can't charge them with trespass. But if they steal your stuff, you can charge them with stealing. So again, a woman might not be able to charge a man with rape, but she can charge him with abduction if he held her down, didn't let her out of the room, didn't let her get up when she was supposed to. And so there's other things. There's assault. All right. There's causing harm. There's assault and battery. So there's other things that he would have committed in doing that same act. So the rape part of it might be an issue in our law today or even in the future, but there are other things that they can be charged with that are serious offenses.
Mhm.
And so back to what
Getting back to your point.
we're talking about in terms of the law, we are very concerned with the fact that if the people tell you no, just like a rape case, if the people tell you no, then it's no. You see, if they had not brought this to referendum and they had just gone and passed the bill, no one could question them, and there would be no jurisprudence issue, there would be no legal issue, there would be none of this stuff. But the fact that the people told you no twice, you know the will of the people. And to go against the will of the people, I believe, is not constitutional. The people are the ultimate rulers. It is the full meaning of democracy. The politics means the affairs of the people. Democracy means the rule of the people. And so the people are the shareholders in this company that we call the Commonwealth of the Bahamas. They are the owners and the shareholders. So if they have a shareholders meeting and they have a vote at the shareholders meeting and they say, no, you cannot open on Sunday, like Chick-fil-A doesn't open on Sunday because their shareholders say so, the manager cannot come and say, well, forget what the shareholders have to say. I am going to open on Sunday because I can do what I want. It doesn't work that way. And Hubert Ingham experienced that. He even experienced that when he read the literal interpretation in his mind of what the Constitution said about appointing an independent senator. You remember the court case that the PLP brought against him, and he appointed a senator that was known to be an FNM, but that was supposed to be an independent senator. He said, well, all the law says is that I'm supposed to consult with Perry Christie, but I don't have to do what he says. And that's literally what the law says, but it was not the spirit of the law. And so the courts told him that despite what you see there, it's not the spirit of the law. And so you cannot go against him and appoint someone who's a known F&M because you just want to. And so he lost that case. So again, they can go and they can do this, and they can say the hell with the people.
Exactly.
But we got to be ready for them. And this is one I think that we need to take to the courts, and we need to fight them down. This would be the biggest mistake that Philip Brave Davis would have made. He would now, in doing this show, and he is just like Minutes before him and Perry Christie before him, who went against the will of the people with the gaming laws. Okay, and so they are now showing the Bahamian people that you all mean nothing. The only people that the government in this country care about is the foreigners. Bahamians, we don't care. Y'all could vote against something. We don't care. Bahamians, y'all have no say in this country. That is what they are saying to us. And this is why we exist.
This is why people feel so insulted.
And this is why we are so insulted. Take it to the people. Give us one more chance. Just educate us. Stop just trying to throw things down our throat. But they are so terrified to educate the people because they know that uneducated people are people that you can't control. They are people that are going to want to do what is right. Yes. And so that is what they're afraid of. But this bill, they are playing politics with it, Steve. So now they want to separate it and give you peace. Right? And that's what the PLP plans to do. Because, now they're saying, oh, we're not going to bring the asylum bill. But they've realized that part of it is the most controversial part. And we're not going to accept that. So now all of a sudden, after saying that they were going to bring it, because Keith Bell originally said that we're going to look at bringing this asylum bill, what politicians do is they put it out there first, see what the feeling is. They float it. And then when you start going against it, they say, well, it was just, we were just thinking about it. We were talking about it. Nothing was ever done. And that's what they do to deceive people. But if you didn't say anything, they would have just gone through with it. And I have two articles sitting in the front of me. And one of them here is with Keith Bell. And this is on January 13th, 2020. This is January 13th, 2022. This is this year. And it says, back to basics, immigration overhaul bill back under review. And he talked about the government will have to review and discuss what it will do with the draft nationality, immigration, and asylum bill, said the Minister of Immigration yesterday.
So he said the draft.
Yes, that's what he called it.
The draft.
All right. And so if you read this, listen, 20 seconds reading this bill, and you would know that is fit for the shredder or the garbage. The fact that they're going to say, oh, we're going to take this isn't passed. You don't have to take this. So if your government don't want this, they could just throw this in the garbage like many other bills that they've thrown in the garbage. Yes. We are still waiting on the bill that we presented to Parliament to empower all Bahamians, give us our sovereign wealth fund and make us benefit from our natural resources that we went to Bay Street to do. Why don't they review that? That was actually tabled.
Need that one.
That's the one we need.
Yes, right.
That was tabled. So why don't we go back to that? But they don't want you benefiting. But this nonsense, they put it out there in January and talk about how the bill was initially drafted and that stuff like asylum and all this kind of stuff that they were going to bring to see how we feel about it. They were hoping that we were going to be ignorant to what asylum is.
But then again, you came along and you enlightened the people.
We enlightened the people, we educated them, and then we saw the Attorney General say, oh, well, the asylum part, we're not going to bring that part of it. But there's so much more in this bill that is demonic. So even if now they're not going to bring the asylum part of it, of this long bill, they still said they're going to bring other parts of it. And so they're talking about stuff like belongers status. Belongers status is going to allow these people who come here illegally and give them a right to be here so that you cannot remove them. This is from Section C of the bill. It is going to give persons who have been born in this country, have no right to be here and should have been removed a long time ago, it's going to give them a right to be here.
Now, hold on. You're talking about this draft bill, right? This
Yes.
is the thing with Keith Bell done put together.
Yes.
This is the same thing with Robin Lyon said that doesn't exist. There's nothing on paper for this.
Remember, they're trying to confuse you. All right? They are trying to say...
But I'm trying to make sure the people know.
Yes.
That this is what she said. She's
right.
on the record of saying that. We've
yes.
got it right here on the record saying that.
She is extremely incorrect. All right? The bill was was drafted. It is in writing. It was done by Anita Allen and team. All right, they had a senior jurist in this country draft this bill. Their team put it together, and the bill just wasn't tabled. Minister just didn't have the political capital to bring it yet. He had other issues to deal with, like the lockdown, et cetera, et cetera. You know, the House was locked down for some time also. He didn't have a chance to bring this bill. But
But he would bring it if he could.
yes, but right after we had in September, Steve, we had an issue with illegal immigrants who were flooding shores. And me and my team went down there now to make sure they put these people on the boat. And in September, the Human Rights Bahamas organization, and I'm looking at another news article from September, September 29, 2021, and it talks about these people. Now, they're saying, while warning that Inagua is on the brink of humanitarian crisis with a recent influx of Haitian immigrants, Human Rights Bahamas is urging the government to revisit the draft Nationality, Immigration, and Asylum Bill, insisting it could help in navigating this issue. Okay?
That's the other part of it now. That's the nationality part of it.
Well, this is the whole bill. It is a Nationality, Immigration, and Asylum Bill. That was one bill. All right? And so this is now these people who are normally lobbying for these illegal immigrants to be able to stay in this country and for them not to be touched and encourage their criminality. All right? And so these people said to the government, you all need to go back and look at this bill and bring this bill, because they're saying somehow this is going to help. All right? And after they did this, you will see that a couple months later, the government came out and said, oh, we're going to go back to this bill that the FNM brought and look to see what we can do with it. So it's almost like they're being dictated to.
And blaming on the FNM.
Yeah.
Whoever was the fellows who initiated the bill, like in 2018.
Exactly. And so, yes, there's not an asylum bill. And that's why I keep telling people, don't let them confuse you by saying there's an asylum bill. No, there's a bill that includes asylum. There's a section of that bill that is, I think it's part of that bill that talks about asylum. Okay? And so what they're saying is now, oh, the asylum part, we're going to pluck that out because, that's not part of the bill. Our country's too small for that, etc. But there's other parts of that bill that they're hoping you don't know about, that they want to sneak in. And they can sneak them in with the gender part of this bill.
Yeah.
And you accept that.
All in one, yeah.
Right. And you won't know what's in the bill because they don't have to tell you what's in the bill. How many bills are passed? We don't know what's in it. How many documents we requested and we can't see it. And so if they bring that to the House of Assembly, they speak through that, push that, and they have to say nothing. They're not going to say nothing. And then we're stuck. And then we find out later, hold on, all these immigrants are getting belonging status. Where did this come from? And we may find out 5 years from now that this is in this bill. Because these people are deceitful. They're not teaching you, they're not educating you, and this is a problem, Steve. And so parts of this bill, it's terrifying. The asylum part, yeah, they're jumping on that. That's not the only bad part. I have a problem with you going in this bill, giving belonger status to persons who ought not be in our country. That is what I have a problem with. And so if you ought not be in this country, if you came to this country wrong, we should not be doing anything to accommodate you.
Absolutely not.
And giving you belonger status. You would know that people in Turks and Caicos get belonger status. That means that that's basically you become a resident and citizen of Turks and Caicos. You have a right to be there and no one can move you. Even if you're a Bahamian who has Turks and Caicos background, you can get belonger status in Turks and Caicos. All right? But we should not be giving belonger status or any kind of status to illegals. And would we start to notice that what they are lobbying for now is to stop calling this something illegal and to make it so that this is not illegal anymore.
Well, how are they going to do that?
And so they are lobbying, and this is what they talked about in the article where they quoted Fred Mitchell in saying that we should not criminalize persons who land in the country illegally. And they quoted Fred Mitchell in this article. That's what the Human Rights Organization did. And So now you see what the prime minister has started to do, and other officials started to do, call it irregular migration. When our immigration act that they were trying to get rid of
Yeah.
calls it illegal migration.
They want to be irregular now.
Yes. So you're
That's
there
the new
irregularly.
word.
Yes.
Corporate language.
And so this is where a lot of our problems come in. Steve, we cannot let these people deceive us. Don't even make them let you focus on the asylum part of it. There's other things in there that are extremely demonic. We are being flooded with illegal immigrants right now. And some people say, yeah, but we have Chinese coming in and Jamaicans coming in and other people coming in. But we have a major problem. We have a major problem, and it is the illegal Haitians who are coming in. They are a major part of the problem. Yes, the Chinese are buying up all our land, and we got to deal with that. All right, but they're coming in legally and buying our land legally. All right, we have to address it by empowering our people. But for right now, the problem that I have, Steve, is
The
that
dominance of the Haitian nationals.
you see, you have some ambitious Haitian nationals who are now Bahamians because they have a passport who want to be prime minister.
Oh yeah.
Okay, and these people, have been encouraging this illegality. They've been encouraging their own agenda. You see, and this is a serious problem for us as Bahamians, and we started to see the influx and the flow. My problem is there's nothing in our constitution or any law that prevents someone from coming here on a boat illegally, somehow getting his citizenship, now having a passport, and running for prime minister of this country, coming here illegally on a boat.
Hello.
Now you will
What a
see
country.
some gang lords in Haiti trying to take that country over, walking around with their machine guns, etc., killing people, cutting off heads, and doing all this stuff.
I saw a video the
If-
other day. I couldn't believe that.
Yeah,
Even that
yeah,
big.
yes. And so one of these fellas might catch on that they could come on the boat to the Bahamas or pay someone $8,000, which is the going rate right now, get a visa, all right, come legally, stay here, be here for enough years, 7 to 8 years, and become a citizen of this country. Maybe campaign with Brave Davis or
Courting
Pintad
danger.
or
That's what we're
etc.
doing. We're courting danger.
Yeah, maybe campaign with them and get their
People call us
citizenship.
xenophobic. I mean, how do you say we're being xenophobic when in fact you're looking right down the barrel of the gun and you can see what's going on?
We're not
All
being
around you.
xenophobic. Listen, there are a lot of people of Haitian descent who do not agree with what the government is doing. They realize that they left that country because of corruption and because of the way it's destabilized now, and they don't want that here. They feel that they got here. This is a good place if you want to come here and do things nicely, and they don't want that. So not every Haitian believes
Understood.
in that. And so many Haitians have come out publicly and supported us on what we are saying. We're not xenophobic. We're not against them. All right. In Haiti, there are persons who are against each other. And right now we're hearing, yes, right now we're hearing in the shanty towns right now with these new Haitians that are coming to New Providence that they are having fights with the Haitians who've been here.
Yeah.
They said these new ones are biggity.
Mhm.
And I kept telling people it's not the see, you grow up with mommy them. You know that the Haitians them who grow up and they're good, nice, and they go to church and they don't bother nobody. And they were some nice, good, sweet people, Christian people.
Yeah.
But there's another crew
Out of
that
the word.
Donald Trump talked about because he has some intel that he said the reason we can't let Bahamians in after Dorian is because they letting these Haitians in,
Exactly.
and there are some criminal elements who are going to take advantage of this.
I remember when you see that.
What is stopping those gangs and gang leaders from coming to this country and realizing that, you know what, Bahamians
And
are
they are, and Lincoln. Let's face it. They are in fact coming here.
they are here.
They're here.
They are already here. And there's a serious gang element. I want you to pay attention to a lot of the names and the nationalities, because some have our names,
Exactly.
of these people locked up for murder, and even some of the victims. I want you to pay close attention. There's a criminal element that is already seeping in. And this is what we have to protect us and all of the foreigners who came here legally, including the Haitian ones. We have to protect this nation for all of us. You cannot just open your borders like this government is doing and allow people to come here and destroy this.
Does Ryan Pinder know of what she talks about? I mean, does he really know what is actually happening? Does he go around and get the kind of intel? Does he go around and get the kind of feedback from the people? I mean, you know,
They don't
that's a
care.
legitimate question.
They don't care about intel and feedback. These people only care about corruption. This is a multi-billion-dollar industry. When that boat comes with 200 people on it, you have to remember that everyone on that boat paid $5,000. And I'm hearing that the price went up since the flood of people trying to get out. All right, I hear it is 7,000 to 8,000 now. And so imagine, do the math of 8,000 times 200. Bahamas Air don't make that for a trip. No mail boat in this country makes that for one trip. This is major money from one trip on a rickety disposable boat. And so these fellas are dealing with corruption and illegality.
And that's a trade.
Drugs are going to be flowing through our country because the borders are open. If all these people are showing up and you're seeing them all over Nassau, everywhere you go, you're now seeing it. There's coming in Abaco. What's stopping the drugs from coming in? All right. In Haiti, they get the guns from South Florida mostly, and it is sold to Haiti because their country can buy, and there's certain people who can buy the guns legally. It's sold on the streets, and then that's how we get a lot of our guns. When they trace the guns, it will say it came from South Florida or somewhere else in the U.S., but it really came en route from Haiti because it's easy to get it in. Now, some comes on yachts into this country, but the vast amount is flooding onto our streets from Haiti. And the Haitian gangs realized that, hold on, we could have a whole chain network from Colombia. Haitians they're flooding Colombia now. And so if the drugs are coming from Colombia, they're connected to Haitians in Haiti, connected to Haitians in the Bahamas. What do you think is about to happen to these streets? It's going to be like a zombie apocalypse.
That's why I'm saying Brave Davis and them cannot be sober and serious about this whole Haitian dilemma. They cannot be. Because if they were, they would be taking all that you've been saying and all that we have been saying on this show and all that everybody else has been saying to put it into practice and make sure that this thing does not happen. But you see, you perhaps hit it on the head, you know. It's about a money issue.
Yes.
It's about the money issue. And unfortunately, we're going to go down because of the money. It's happening.
Yeah.
And nobody seems to be prepared to stop it because nobody's doing anything about it.
See, this is deep, and we could have deep conversations. I'm quite capable of doing that. It's a money issue and a corruption issue that destroyed Haiti. We know that Haiti in 1804 or thereabouts fought and freed themselves from the guards who were guarding them. Say that they overthrew the French. It wasn't literally that they overthrew the French. It was literally that those ones in that outposts they overpowered them and took the country back. And then what happened was France sent a message letting them know that we're going to bring the entire army there, and we are going to destroy many of you, and we're going to bring slavery back if you don't pay us a certain amount. And they decided, Toussaint decided, oh, what, we better pay this amount. And it was 30 times their GDP at the time. So it wasn't that they fought for their freedom, they bought freedom. Okay, so they bought their freedom. Many people are saying, oh, they were the first ones to fight for their freedom. No. They did free themselves. And there were many slave plantations and cities in America where the slaves took over, but then they were overtook again when the reinforcement reached. And so they got rid of those who were there. And then France told them, you are going to pay this amount. And at the time, it was equivalent to like 512 million, 500 million or so, right? Which was huge money for that. But it was 30 times their GDP at the time. And then when they agreed to do that, they then started borrowing money from France to pay France. And that's where their debt cycle really came in. And so there was this huge cycle of debt that they could not get out of. And they actually just finished paying it off a few years ago. But it was corruption. There's always someone paying off someone and someone doing this. And that is what destroyed their nation. always corruption, doing things under the table, all of this stuff. And they would destroy their country for money. They destroy their entire forest. All of their trees are gone to make coal because they can make a couple dollars and they don't care about the repercussions.
Yeah.
If you make a deal to pay 30 times your GDP and you're going to borrow to try to pay that, you destroyed your country. You will never have a country. And so now you're bringing that same culture here by paying off corrupt officials to get here. Paying off corrupt officials to come here. It's only a matter of time. You see, again, there are good persons who live in Haiti. I have no problem with that. I have no problem with them coming here and working for us as Bahamians. But there's some bad people. And I lived in Haiti for 2 years. This is something I know. I'm talking what I know, what I experience. There's parts of Haiti that our children will not survive. This week, 2 persons contacted me, Bahamians, born, bred Bahamians, 10th-generation Bahamians. One fella, he inherited his property from his dad. He have the papers for his property. The Haitians were on his property and just took it over. And they tell him, listen, get from around here. And he called the police, and they say, yeah, you own this. And he even got something in the court, and he wanted the police to enforce it. And the police tell him, we ain't going back there in the back there for them to do voodoo on us.
My God.
And so this is our protectors, fearful of people playing with trinkets.
My God.
Of superstition. So if our police scared now, and this is a Bahamian man going through this now, and they're taking over his property right now as we speak. We go in there to deal with that. You're not going to take nothing from Bahamians in this country. It's one thing with you going on the crown land and the government letting you do that, but this is a Bahamian saying, yo, I need the police, someone to court, someone help me get these people off my land so that my family can have something. They told him, listen, we'll kill you. That's what they told him. It's another woman who approached me. She's an elderly lady. She's having the same exact problems.
Wow.
She has her papers for her property and she's trying to get them off. And she can't get them off. These people are more violent than us. They're more aggressive than us. And we have to stop this cancer before it spreads. I'm not xenophobic. I'm not saying that all of them are like that. But the ones who are like that are going to be a problem. And we don't, there's some Bahamians already saying, oh, you better leave it alone because it's already too late. You don't know who is who. There's plenty of them in this Haitian. And when you said,
well, that's what the talk is. The talk is that if you're looking at 1 million people here on the ground right now, you got 12 million people in Haiti. You got 400,000 people here in the Bahamas that we supposed to be, that's supposed to be our numbers. And when you do the math and you do the calculations based on that 1,000 number, you're looking at 750,000 people that they have us outnumbered already. That's how people are seeing this. People are seeing that now. People are seeing that now.
We are not outnumbered yet.
We're not outnumbered. You need to bring some kind of remedy to the situation right now on that particular question, because people are thinking that, boy, we are so outnumbered, and that's one of the reasons why people are disciplined. They don't want to get into that. They don't want to get no issue with those people from Haiti. They don't want to get into that. So maybe you could address that.
So if you are afraid to get into it, if you are afraid to stand up and fight for your country, then you don't deserve to have it. Make it. Is that the solution?
No, sir.
They have to kill me over my dead body. You're not coming to take my country. That's all I got. I don't care how much corrupt politicians you got in your pocket. We must defend this land. Steve, we ain't got nowhere to go.
No,
This is all we got. We are not yet outnumbered. We are not outnumbered yet. We are still in the vast majority. All right? Plus, I think the majority of the Haitian community in this country does not agree with what it appears the Davis administration is doing by pandering to these people and allowing them to come in and take over.
Another theory. They're thinking that Davis and the FNM.
Yes, and I should have said that.
They're thinking both of them are looking to outdo themselves, because if they're kind of trying to bring all the Haitian people here in the Bahamas, give them citizenship, give them status, whatever they want to give them, then they can be outdoing themselves because these people will outnumber them. That's what
Yeah.
they're saying.
Yeah, and it's a reason they left Haiti. It's a reason they left. And a lot of Haitians, like I said, if Haitians believe that this is a good country, if you are here in this country, you are here legally, you have your papier, and you believe that this is a good country, we're asking you to help us defend this from corrupt politicians. That's what happened in your country. Corrupt politicians destroyed your
That's
nation.
why you run.
That's why you ran.
You got shelter
Do
now.
not-
do the right thing.
We cannot
Assimilate
just
into what we're talking about now, because that's what has to happen. In other words, if you see people don't assimilate to the point where they want to be a part of New Bahamas, then we've lost that fight there too.
Yeah. You know, again, this fear is that as Bahamians, we are not an aggressive people. And that's why we're taken advantage of so much. And that's why we've never benefited from our natural resources. One, because they've kept us ignorant. And two, we are afraid to fight for things. I am afraid that when they do start to get the majority,
You can't.
these are- they won't be able to have their papers,
Yeah.
their
Right.
actual citizenship in time for next election. Election is the last chance we got. If we don't make a change by next election, we in trouble. Because those persons who these administrations are allowing to flood in now, after that, they would have been here long enough to get citizenship. And so the next election after that, that's when you could
That's
have
the real
a
McCoy.
Haitian
Who
minister.
coming on the boat?
Yes. You could have, or one who was just here all
Lord
his
have
life.
mercy. What a jokey country.
And so we have to stand up. We can't take this lightly. And I'm calling on everyone who supports the government. Speak to your government, man. You can't just blindly support anyone. I'm not asking anyone to just blindly support me. That's why I always bring proof of everything I say anytime I talk. You can't just blindly support your government. PLPs, talk to your government and tell them that we got to put a hold on this. Right now, there's a crisis of people leaving there. It's just like when we had the COVID tragedy. We had to lock down our borders. And it was understandable. Let's lock the borders down because we don't want COVID flooding into our country. Right now, Haiti is going through something. If you say we can't protect all our borders, etc., then we got to change some things. The biggest concern is not distracting you all with the boats, Steve.
So distracting us of the boats.
Those people landing on the boats,
Okay.
that ain't the biggest problem. The biggest problem is that every day, several planes land in this country with Haitian nationals coming here with visas and work permits.
Wow.
Last week, one immigration officer called me, and he said him alone said he cleared 250 Haitians with work permits, not visa, work permits that week.
My Lord.
Him alone. He said there's plenty of officers.
There's that front too.
He said they are flooding into the country every single week. Someone who's in charge of swearing in persons contacted me also and gave me certain information and certain proof. There's patriots everywhere. And I encourage patriots to, whenever you see this stuff, videotape it, record documents, copy the documents, get it to us. We got to defend this country. They said that they are swearing in 20 to 30 Haitians every single week.
This is at Citizenship now.
Yes. Every single week. But they're not telling you all that. 20 to 30. They said they had to get,
Aren't these things supposed to be a public situation?
it's supposed to. But then
they don't say nothing.
you can't have corruption in the public, in the open. Corruption needs darkness. Corruption can't take light. They informed me that they had to go in another building because the papers that they were processing for all of these illegal immigrants, the building was too small. They had to get a building that's more like a warehouse
My Lord.
to process all of
My
these
Lord.
papers. All right? This government hired a fellow, Sanders, who was a retired officer, sent him down to Haiti to deal with these kinds of matters. I'm not saying he's doing nothing wrong. I can't accuse him of anything. But they sent someone to deal with making sure these people get their visas. All right? And they gave him a 4-year contract. All right? Just to deal with that.
So who is he working for?
The government
The
of the
government of the
Bahamas,
Bahamas.
and he has a 4-year contract.
So they have an agenda there.
Yes, they have an agenda. And you see, once these people come in, and you might say, oh, the people, they're going to come in, and if they get the bless, you could ask them to leave at a certain point or whatever you want to say. Listen, we can't get the illegal ones right now to leave. If someone come with a visa, how are you going to get them to leave?
You can't get them.
You get them to leave. When are they going to go? How much time have they told them to stop billing here, stop billing there? They say the government can go to hell. They keep billing. But yet we have a police officer harassing Bahamians and telling them they shouldn't be on our crown land. And they're attacking Bahamians, Steve.
So how do we deal with this thing? I mean, CARICOM has said that we need to help the Haitians. And I mean, that's what P.A. Parsons was saying. I mean, I hear what he's saying, and I agree with him to a certain extent. But how do we get this thing to be properly policed? Because really, we need the help. We need help in this particular area because we are all alone in this particular area. America is not helping us at all, except that they're turning back some boats when they see them. But the bottom line is that we're not getting any help from CARICOM. We're not doing anything at that particular level. And we have all the lobbyists who are continuously saying, you got to help these people. I mean, how much more can they expect a country to do? And by the way, we don't even have a prime minister who's actually focused on this particular issue. This is a serious Haitian dilemma issue,
Yeah.
But he's not really focused on that. Not in my opinion. He seems to be focused now because you went down there in Abaco and Grace and Hell and all kinds of stuff, and the Tribune carried the stories and all kind of stuff. They didn't quote you, but the point that I'm making, I know it's a result. It's a direct result of the fact that you all were on the ground. You've been making soup out of these guys on this particular issue, and they responded to this thing well. Now, Ray Davis is saying that we haven't done enough. That's what he's saying. After 3 years, they've not done enough. I mean, they knew this thing had happened, yet they have not done enough. So I'm saying if these guys are actually in Haiti with a government contract to have someone named Mr. Sanders do what he is doing on a contractual basis to get the people ready to send them here to the Bahamas, maybe they're trying to get what you call what Brent used to call it, get certain investors here, and they look at Haiti to get certain investors here because these people are coming with visas, right?
Yeah. Steve,
What is going on?
Steve, it's very important for you to understand this. Haiti does not need our help. And I will preface that by saying that after the earthquake, I filled the plane with supplies
I know
along
you
with
did.
someone else, and I went in and helped them. So I'm not against them. I don't want no one to say I'm against them. When our prime minister said no, I went as a normal Bahamian
Yes.
with no status, went down there and found a way to go get help and help them and stayed and was going back and forth and living there, all right, contributing to their society, even doing business there. I went there to help. I know Haiti, all right? I know Haiti better than most of these Haitians who born here, all right? I know Haiti better than Louis Georges, all right? I know Haiti because when he was going there, he asked me about Haiti. All right. So I'm not against Haitians and I'm not xenophobic, but I believe we need a better country that has the rule of law and not corruption and illegality. Now, after the earthquake, Haiti got $13.5 billion in aid.
Yeah, I remember that.
Clinton was down there, Bush was down there, Sean Penn, all kind of celebrities.
So
Everyone was
2010.
there. All right. They were there and they got that within a few months period. All right. They got 13.5 billion. If them getting $13.5 billion can I help them? What we could do? What we could do?
I don't know.
Our yearly budget is $2.5 billion. That's for our whole entire nation. If them getting $13.5 billion, that's more than the budgets of all our countries in the Caribbean, probably combined. If that can't help them, what we could do for them?
So corruption is at the
So
core.
and I got to meet the last time I was in the States. I got to meet a fellow who was a contractor. He was when the earthquake happened, he was a contractor. He's a major contractor. Yeah, he was in Iraq helping rebuild Iraq. And so when Haiti happened, they asked him to go down to Haiti to help rebuild Haiti. And so they went down there. The first contract was $1 billion. He said they came down there, and Haiti started to build freeways and stuff. They had stuff that we don't have. They have freeways like what you see in Miami. They was doing different stuff. They was building communication systems and stuff. And he said, every time they put something down, the next day that's gone. That's gone. He said they would steal the stuff. And this is a white American. And he said they were down there to help. You know? And he said they would steal the stuff. No matter, they could put down $20 million worth of equipment. And listen, he said tomorrow, all of that gone.
Lincoln, they stole the wires off the plant down in Michael.
Yeah.
Don't you see how we had half lights on in the city?
Yeah.
Only half of our lights were on in the city all day yesterday, or that's Wednesday.
Yeah.
Wednesday or so.
Yeah.
The fella gone on the lamp pole and stole the wire. He was executed.
Wow.
A Haitian fella stole the light off the lamp pole.
Yeah.
And luckily he was not executed.
Yeah.
Do you understand what I'm saying to you? If they can do that.
And he said all the wires they was running, all that got stolen, all the phone wires, all the electricity wires, everything got ripped. All the equipment they put up, everything. They was going to have technology that we don't have yet. They were going to have power stations, etc. You put down that generator, that's gone. Ain't nothing they can do with that generator but take that apart because they can't use it. Where you put that? That's a huge generator. All right? And so they take that the next day. And he said $1 billion worth of stuff, just taken. And then the next contract was supposed to be $3.5 billion. That would have really done good for his company. But he told him, I can't do that. He said that would be wrong. He said, because if they stole the $1 billion worth of stuff, he said, now I'm going to tell them to pay 3.5. He said, yeah, my company would have made the money no matter what. But he said he couldn't do that. His conscience wouldn't allow him to do that. And so Haiti as a country lost because of they don't think of the consequences of their actions.
The earthquake of 2010.
Yes.
My Lord.
All right. No, I wouldn't say they. There are persons who don't. So the good will suffer for the bad. Again, I don't want people to think I think that all Haitians are bad. There's some good Haitians. All right. But those bad ones are the ones we need to keep out of our country. And the problem is we need to be able to sift through them without corruption.
So tell me, let's get back to the nitty-gritty now. I mean, how do we approach Mr. Ryan Pinder on this thing? Because we're looking at this thing by mid-September, I suppose, that they're going to bring the legislation to go back to the House of Assembly and do a number of things with this citizenship bill and the rest of it. How do we lobby to approach him without just mere words? I mean, should there be some kind of campaign to the point where we're demonstrating or something? Because I'm saying he's been hearing the words that we speak every day on this show. I know they've been listening.
Yes, they're listening
every single day.
Oh, they listen.
All of them, they listen.
Mhm.
They listen every day. They can't call to say we talking nonsense. So you don't hear anything from the phone lines. They're not going to call.
No.
Because they know we speak the truth.
Mm-hmm.
And I dare them to call me and tell me we don't speak the truth.
Mm-hmm.
Because you're not the only person who checks your information. I check my information.
Of course you do.
Because you have to know what you're dealing with.
Mm-hmm.
We could be right on the edge of the cliff and not jump over.
Yes.
But that's what's happening here. So how do we get Mr. Pinder, Bray Davis, and others, Keith Bell, Wayne Monroe, and those other QCs to look at this thing wholeheartedly, figure out what they must do, and do this thing in a new way?
They teach you something in political science, that politicians are only concerned with what's on the tongues of the people.
Yes.
And so if we are talking about this, and if we stand up against this, they will have to stand down.
Yeah.
Whenever the people stand up, they will stand down. And so that's why they're trying to maneuver this to make it palatable to say, we're only talking about gender. That's it. It's just about gender. Women should have a right to pass on what, and this is when you,
equal as man.
yeah,
That's what
this
they're
is
preaching,
why you shouldn't trust them, right? Because when they always say a woman should have the right to pass on citizenship to her child. They actually do have that right now. It's just that they apply. Okay, they apply. Their child is still Bahamian. Their child can still apply at 18. The law just give their child a choice on what they want to be. All right. So their child actually can become Bahamian. They're just not automatically Bahamian at birth. Okay, and there's certain reasons, like you don't want certain persons coming flooding your country and having a bunch of children. All right, there's certain reasons that certain laws was put in place to protect certain things. All right, so when they say, "Oh, a woman can't give her child a right to become," that is not true. They can become. Okay, now what we should do is make the process smoother for them at this time. All right, make it smoother for persons that their situation. But we have to be very careful of any law that will put loopholes in there to allow persons to just come and have a bunch of babies. We have to be very careful of that because then we're going to be outnumbered, and we live in what we call democracy. And if you live in a democracy, Steve, they can take over your country.
Yeah.
When I was growing up in the 80s, when you went to Miami, all you saw in downtown, etc., in McCoy's and these other what are those stores named, they were white people.
That's right.
They would have been its owners. The black people were working for them for the most part. And you never thought Cubans would ever take over. Cubans were like here and there, you didn't see
I
them.
don't like Miami no more.
But literally by the 90s, and when I went to college over there, it was taken over. They were now the governors, the mayors, the wealthy people. They were building skyscrapers. They took over. And if you could do that to Florida with millions of people, imagine what they can do to us with 400,000 people.
I mean, let's look at it. I mean,
Steve,
we don't even compare.
we are not against Haitians because they are Haitians. We don't want our country to be overrun. If these people are allowed to come here and overrun us through corruption, the seed that you planted will destroy this nation. You can't start off wrong and end up right.
But are the people making Bain, are they really into this whole save our country bit? Are they really into it? I mean, I have to ask you that to you because you see, sometimes I get the impression that we don't give a hell. We don't care.
We do.
Like we don't really care about this thing anymore.
We do. But a lot of Bahamians are afraid. And this is why those of us who are not afraid have to stand up for the fearful ones. They are still our brothers and sisters, even though they are
Yes, I
afraid.
agree.
So for us who are courageous, Steve, see, some people are worried about their little job. They ain't coming out on no protest. They're worried about their little mortgage. They're worried about their little contract. All right. And so they ain't coming out. They want you go fight for them. They want you take that loss. All right. They want you to take the victimization.
But how do you do it? Because I mean, you've been up, you've been hitting them hard. I've been hitting them hard,
Mhm.
and you don't get no pay. What you get is that sometimes people say, "Way to go, man! You're doing a good job, man. You're doing a good job, Steve. Way to go." But you see, payday is nothing happening for that. Not in your area, not in my area. But you do this for love of the country.
Yeah.
You're trying your best to see how to make people see that this is bigger than this. This is more than just sitting around and just not doing anything. This is about fighting for something that means something.
Yeah.
And that's why I fight. That's why I get on the radio and I say what I have to say. I be careful, don't jump over the cliff. But the point is that you've got to put some muscle in there and go for it.
One of my favorite movies is Godfather 2, one of them.
Yeah.
And I learned something powerful from that movie. When Michael Corleone was traveling with another gangster he wanted to do a deal with. And they were in the car. And he saw one of the Cuban. This is when the Cuban was having a revolution, when Castro and them was fighting. And he saw one of the Cubans run up to a police officer and blow himself up. He saw the Cuban do that. Just he had a bomb on him, and he held one police officer and blew himself up. And after that, Michael Corleone told him, Castro is going to win this war.
Yep.
Batista can't win. And he said, what
Right.
do you mean? They're outnumbered. There's a bunch of ragtag people. They can't do this. They have nothing. They're nobodies. He said, if a man is willing to die for what he believes in, you cannot stop him. And that's what he said. And he called off the deal because he saw that one thing, because he saw the spirit and the heart of the people. And if there are a few Bahamians, a few good men and women who are willing to die for this country, we will not be taken over and we will not be overrun. And we will take this country back. Because I am one of them. And I will stand in front of the other Bahamians who are willing to stand up and die for this. Because we can't let this be taken over. It's all we got. And so, if there are other Bahamians out there, we have to go and tell our government what we feel and what we believe in. We can't wait for the so-called people in the good, nice coat suits, the so-called qualified people. They ain't coming. They're not going to put their contracts and their career and their jobs on the line for this country. But the rest of us, the so-called no-name people, it's time for us to stand up because that's the only people God ever uses, Steve.
Absolutely.
God never uses people who are part of the status quo.
See, when I was at least 24, 34, 44, I could have talked like that. See, I telling you, and I still got that spirit to talk like that now. The point what I'm saying is that you remind me of me. That's how it's supposed to be. You're supposed to be able to want to stand up and do some things. I mean, there's been nobody who's been out there battling like myself, Dr. Elwood Donaldson, for years. Just battling. Just everything is a damn battle. We're in a battle for everything. Against everything. From the homosexuals right down to the gynodermophiles, everybody. We just gamble. We believe that this is no place for this to be. But yet we have somehow lost that fight.
Steve, listen to this for 1 sec. Listen to this. This section 61 of this nationality bill. I don't want them calling it the asylum bill because when they start tricking you and saying they ain't bringing the asylum part, you would think they ain't bringing the bill. No, this bill is nationality and immigration bill. Section 61 of this. Grant of resident belongers permit to persons who before the commencement of this act failed to apply for citizenship pursuant to Article 7 or 9 of the Constitution. So if you fail to apply, which means that your parents came here illegally and you grew up and you didn't apply, you got your Haitian passport where you could go to Haiti, you didn't apply, they doing something new to make you a belonger when no one can touch you. Now you had your choice to apply or not.
Oh my Lord.
Why are you going back? And it says that they will have a right. They use the word that they will have a right to live and work here. A right. Okay? And also, they have a grant of resident belongers permit to persons who, before the commencement of this act, failed to apply. That's the other one. Grant of resident belongers permit to persons born outside the Bahamas after the commencement of this act who are not entitled to citizenship through fathers who are Bahamian citizens by virtue of Article 3, Article 8, etc. And so they're talking about belongers title. And they go on, and there's nothing to do with the asylum part of it. They are now telling you who is permitted to be in this country. And certain people, you can't touch them.
So that's what Ryan meant when he said he's going to get around this thing. It's been too much. The language, the gap has been a little too much. So they want to get around this thing and make sure that this thing can be a part of what they really want to go in the future.
Section 64 talks about residence and right of abode of persons entitled to apply for registration as citizenships under Article 7, 9, and 10 of the Constitution after commencement of this act. So residence and right of abode for those persons who have a right to register under Article 7.
This is what Ryan said. Ryan Bender says, Ryan government. Okay, Ryan's argument is that his government, Ray Davis' government, is looking at it in a more in-depth, effective way of dealing with the matter. This is what he says, quoting, we figured a full rewrite of our legislation was necessary in order to provide more transparency and ease in the administration of government. They're looking for the easy way out. They're trying to find a way to blend this whole thing. And so this is what he said, I didn't say that. He said that.
Mm-hmm.
So what you're talking about is absolutely true.
Yeah.
They're looking for a way to ease this thing and make sure it's palatable with what they want to have happen.
Mm-hmm.
And there you have it. In his own words, he said
Yeah.
that in the Nassau Guardian
Yes, he did.
about 2-3 weeks ago.
Yes, he did. And so now they're making it that persons who are born here to illegal parents is also in this act. This is Section 64 that it says the persons born here to illegal parents that they will have a right of abode. So they will have a right of abode while they are minors. And so now they don't have a right of abode, but they're trying to change this. And so now what happens? They flood the boat. You come here and have children quick.
Yeah.
And your children have a right to be here. And guess what?
And the Haitians do this long time ago.
Yes.
That's why they were picking into that. They're saying, get your baby.
Mhm.
Get your baby. Every little document they could get at the hospital, the
Mhm.
PMH to show verification that they born a baby here. They have that.
Yes.
You can check their records. They have that, buddy.
Mhm.
Seriously.
And they know that Bahamian women are not having babies. And people are encouraging Bahamian women to have babies. And I do too because of what's going on.
Yeah.
But the problem is Bahamian women, they have to be responsible. They can't afford to have a bunch of babies. But these people, they ain't got no bills because we taking care of them.
That's right.
They could come and take our crown land, take it. That's what they're doing. Live rent free, electricity free, because all kind of wires going in, and you see that the injunction said that they can't turn off their electricity or their cable, etc. Yeah. And so they get free electricity, they get free health care, all right?
They're doing so
They
good.
get free education,
They get a lot of
they
free
get
healthcare.
everything.
Yeah.
Doing real good.
And so now what's happening is they now, because they're making all the money, they're now buying up property in Abaco. They're buying it. They now have the money, they're building apartments. And they're telling Bahamians, yeah, we don't rent to Bahamians.
And they won't lie.
This is happening in our country.
That's actually what happened.
Yes, that is happening in our country.
And if we do it,
You saw this when you went on 2 weeks ago.
I didn't see that in Abaco. I saw that in New Providence.
Yeah, but I'm talking about even.
Yes, we saw persons buying up property in Abaco. We saw that. In fact, I did a video with one situation. All right.
Let's take a break.
Yeah.
We're gonna run and take a break. It's 6:30 in the city. It's Friday, and of course we're on with Lincoln Bain, and we're talking with this asylum bill, which now been looked on as something else. The
nationality.
nationality bill, and some other little things are inside there that Lincoln claims that they're trying to sneak it inside there. We've got to be on the lookout and pay careful attention to all these things because anything can happen in government. You know that. I know that. We see it all. Anything can happen in government. Let's run the calls and take some calls here. Hot copy, how are you? You got a copy, you there? All right, hot copy, how are you? Okay, all right, I guess you could. Yep, tell you what, let me give you my telephone numbers so that you can go onto the telephone lines. I did have you holding for a bit, so I do understand that. Okay. You can call us today at 325-023546, 325-024243, 325-025244. We can WhatsApp us and text us today at 376-9234. You can follow us on the World Wide Web at www.peace. 1075.com and Cable Bahamas at 976-970, pardon me, and MIXLR for the Universal Television and streaming, Pro TV at 613. You can follow us on Facebook and on Twitter, Hot Copy Bahamas I think we do have some calls online. Okay, I don't have anything there. Hard copy, how are you?
Hey Steve, how you doing, man?
Very good, thanks.
Good afternoon, Lincoln.
Good afternoon, my brother.
Listen, you're not alone in this fight. Steve, your show would not be adequate or long enough to really host Lincoln in the manner that he is right now. In fact, I think the whole should be dedicated to him for the information that he's bringing forward to the Bahamian people. Our democracy in this country has been under attack for quite some time. Okay, we've seen where our elected officials who were elected to govern this country on behalf of all the Indians. You know, a lot of persons out there, they like to get this kind of earthy attitude when we talk about organic and indigenous. But I'm going to tell you, we are really at a disadvantage, not by ourselves, but we are at a disadvantage by the elected officials. We are also at a disadvantage by those who are wealthy and influential that lives in this country, who is not for Bahamians, but they're here for themselves to get their wealth. It so happens, Lincoln, that you so rightfully because, listen, I grew up with Haitians. I grew up with a lot of them who are my friends. And I can tell you, the general sentiments with them is that they are totally disgusted that the spotlight has been even thrusted on them when they too don't want to be thrusted in the spotlight.
Yes.
They've been cooperating. They've learned how to adapt to our way of life. They have lived our way of life. They understand the dynamics here, and they have no problems. But these newcomers, even the ones who are in their 30s and 40s now, who just recently came, is creating such a havoc and catastrophe here. That is putting all of them now under scrutiny. So you're going to find that even with those persons, Steve, that they're even understanding to the plight that many of us who are fighting for country, you know, because I am one of them. I'm fighting for this country. I've been blacklisted. Right now, today, I'm still living under a blacklist. I've been victimized. I'm living that today. There's so many opportunities here that should be afforded to Bahamians who are qualified. However, because they have taken a stance, the fight against the injustices, the fight against the corruption, to point people out who we suspect are corrupt. Whenever you decide to do that, they decide to cut you off primarily at the first source, your finances.
Yeah.
They take away your ability to make a living in this country.
But listen, I've got several more calls. Let me just put you on hold for a second. I got many calls coming on the telephone.
Go ahead, Steve.
For a second, all right, okay. Hard copy. How are you?
Hey, Steve.
Yes, sir.
How you doing, Lincoln? How you doing, Lincoln?
I am awesome, man.
Good night. This is the GNN. Lincoln, I am ready. All you got to do is tell me where to sign. And it don't make no sense to me running on long because you and Steve have said it all. This operation is now bursting at the seams, which you speak about. It was called a long time Operation Termite. They were in the woodwork a long time ago, and now it has swelled to the point where once you touch the wood with your finger or upon close inspection, you would see that the wood is now has been decimated underneath.
Yeah.
They're now swelling out. So tell us to go up on the lap hole in broad night or broad daylight to steal the wire.
Yeah.
Tells you how mammoth this problem is. So when you're ready, Lincoln, Steve, when you're ready, I'm ready to sign on the dotted line. Thanks for taking my call.
Appreciate it, sir. All right, let's start taking some other calls here on the telephone line. Hard copy, how are you? Hard copy, you there? Are you there? I guess not. All right. Hard copy, how are you? Good afternoon, hard copy. Are you there? Are you there, hard copy? All right. Hard copy, how are you? All right. I guess we're back here. Hard copy, sir. Go ahead.
You know, the only sad part of this equation, Steve, is this. We play so much party politics in this country. A lot of us are aware of what's going on here. But because of our government is in power and we support that government, we do do not want to stand up and demand that our government turn face and try to correct this problem. Isn't it interesting that this immigration crisis has been a bone of contention over a few consecutive governments?
Yes, it has.
One has found fit to go into Parliament and close a lot of these loopholes and do the necessary amendments to bring about some changes that is palatable to the average Bahamian who is a patriotic or a nationalist. It is really ridiculous, Steve. This matter is not going to change. I'll close on this one point so I can clear your line. Until we fix this immigration problem in this country, nothing else in this country is going to be fixed.
I agree.
I want you to look at that very seriously.
Yes.
Until this immigration matter is addressed, until the loopholes in law has been closed, and listen, we have to thank Fred Smith, Fred Smith so rightfully pointed out a lot of the loopholes that he uses to win his cases in court. But none of our lawyers, the legal fraternity, none of them have had the gumption to stand up and go forward and try to get these loopholes closed. So guess what? When you close these loopholes, we can then begin to progress with our laws in this country. Not one of them I've heard to come forward and actually address this thing. I've not heard nothing from the chief of the bar council or association. I've heard no one address these matters. You mean to tell me that what Fred Smith has a whole fraternity of lawyers in this country held hostage? They're afraid to address him and to challenge him on a whole lot of these things.
Maybe he's the leader.
Not go forward.
Maybe he's the leader. I don't know. All right. Hard copy, how you doing? Are you there? All right. Hard copy, are you there?
Yes, I'm here. Steve, how you doing?
I'm listening. All is well.
Hey, man. Lincoln, how are you, sir?
I am awesome, my brother.
Listen, man. Information is power. And, persons, this is a line that a lie can have some truth, but truth can never have no lie.
Mm-hmm.
Steve, what is the thing that I want Lincoln to try to answer me or you? Why is it the leaders of this country would do such a wicked thing to the Bahamian people? That question is a deep question. Why would our leaders who claims to be for this country, for Bahamian, and will try to pass and implement a law, knowingly that it will destroy this country, and we will no longer have a thing called the Commonwealth of the Bahamas, where Bahamian, where God has set us up according to Acts 17.
I'm going to let Lincoln answer
Why
that.
would leaders try to do such a wicked thing?
Yeah.
Let me just say this, and I'm not going to be long. Ryan Pender is an outsider. He was not elected by the people. And brave Philip Davis, the Haitian Prime Minister, he said that this is on video, he said that he is a Haitian, that he is with them, he is like them, and they are not Haitian, they are Bahamians. He said this is video going all around and video. So I'm asking, why would our leaders, who the Bahamians put in power, will go to Parliament and sit down with such a wicked bill and pass upon the Bahamian people? That question, I need to see if you can get people to answer that question.
All right.
Okay. Let me say, Steve and Lincoln, I am already there. I am 70 years of age, and everybody knows this voice, and everybody knows I am not afraid. I was a street guy, so I understand street mentality. And so good. Being a son of God now, we are here to fight. I am here to fight with you, Lincoln. And all
Thank
those
you.
who will stand with you. Everybody's not going to stand in the gap. Because, as you said, they are afraid. But guess what? You have some men and women who are willing to die for the country. And dying for a country is a legacy. It's a good thing, except you, when you have Jesus living in your spirit. But then
Amen.
I told a person the other day, he talked to me in Haitian. I said, let me tell you something. Voodoo, I said, there's a spirit so strong in me, it make rulers of this world tremble. Because when you're ready to go down there, let me know. And so guess what? All you need is me. One bit with God, it's $1 billion. It's $1 billion. So I said to you, let me encourage you, my leader. Let me say this. Be courageous. Be strong. And I know you are. Along with Maria Jackson and along with all of the other organic behemoths who will stand. Some, like you say, they got their job. Me, they cannot hurt me. They can't do nothing with me. I already achieved what I supposed to achieve. And guess what? I'm literally getting ready to die off this scene and go to heaven. So I'm going to fight for this country along with you, my brother. And so guess what? I am one with you. I know Steve with you, and you have many others that every day I talk to organic behemoths. But I want that question. Please let the behemoths try to answer that. Why is it that the leaders, the prime ministers of this country would put or try to bring a bill to pass in this country to destroy the behemoths as we know it and this Commonwealth of Bahamas? Love you all. God bless you and have a beautiful afternoon.
Oh, bless. Thank you so much. Thank you so kindly.
That's the easiest question I've ever had on radio.
Yeah.
The answer is simple: corruption. There's nothing else to it. It is corruption. The money is sweet. The first world countries, Canada and America, is trying to make sure they put money together to pay these other countries to keep some of these immigrants there. This is a solution. Remember last year they had an influx and they were trying to figure out a solution to stop all these people from coming to the borders? Their solution is, hey guys, we'll give you some money.
Give me some money.
Keep some of them in your country so you keep some of that stress. And so this is the money from the world powers, which our leaders are so corrupt that they don't know how to stand up to them. And then there's the money from the corrupt Haitians and Bahamians who are involved in this illegal smuggling and the drug game and everything else. It is corruption that is allowing this.
I know it. Hot copy, how you doing today?
Good day, Dr. Steve Mckinney.
Yes, sir.
I was saying, I hear Mr. Bean talking, and you know what has cost me? I wonder why the Bahamian people keep doing these things, though. Because I hear the gentleman being on, he's wondering, but I listened to Monica's show, too. And he said that, listen here, say Penland was a Haitian, Perry was a Haitian, England was a Haitian, Menace was a Haitian, and Brad says he's a Haitian. So if they say they're the Haitian, they're the Haitian fan, you think they let the Haitian people down? They're doing these things to make sure the Haitian them take over. But to take what is possible to me, but I still have hope that long as we trust in God, the sincere one that trusts in God, God going to make sure that we still come on the top and we survive. I hope next election, if God still alive, they give Lincoln Bain a landslide because it's hurt me. This man tried too hard for us. He talked. But last time, before election, he talked on the show. He said, I talked to Menace. Menace say, he ain't doing nothing for the Bahamian people. He said, he talked to Graves to say, keep up poor and everything. And the people that still turning around and gave them landslide, what do you think happening? So what really happened to most of the Bahamian people, they look for this. I hope by next election, they change their mind and put real Bahamian in this house. That's the only way we have something be done.
Appreciate it.
Okay,
Thank you, man. I appreciate it.
Yeah.
And he is correct that our leaders previous have had foreign roots. And even some of our members of parliament and some of the fellows who fought for us to get majority rule, etc., has had foreign roots. And one of the reasons that I see that happened is because Bahamians are too soft to fight. And so it reminds me of when I was in Prince William's.
So anybody can come and take over.
Yeah. And so you needed some fellas from a different mentality in their DNA to come and fight for it. That don't mean that they own it. All right. They helped and they fight, they contributed. It reminds me of when I was in Prince William's. There was this girl who came there. She's a doctor now. All right. And she's a doctor, a dentist in Freeport. But when she came to our school, she came from the US. And in the US, you have certain rights, and they put that in their law. You have to treat the students a certain way. They have rights.
And when she came to Princeville, she came and you going to buckhead with Charles Sanders where you don't have no right. The law is what he says it is.
Yeah.
And because he's going to discipline you like this is the army. And well, when she came there, she started to speak out for certain rights. And she was the first person to cause me to realize that you could have rights and that you could stand up in my life. And she had a different mentality because she was Bahamian, but she grew up and went to school until high school in America. And so it was a different mentality coming from a different place that caused her to cause us to fight for our rights. And that's why, we had to have some foreign people like R.M. Bailey and Stephen Dillett and Pinlin and the Maynards, etc., had to stand up because they came from a different kind of mentality. But now it's time for Bahamians to stand up. Otherwise, this thing will never be ours. And that's why this has never been treated like ours. And so if we don't stand up and fight, yes, it's time for a real Bahamian leader. Because now God has revealed all of our value to us. He's revealed the treasure that I was telling everyone about. Now you're seeing it. The carbon credits that I was teaching everyone about. Now you're seeing it. The natural resources that I was telling everyone about. Now you're seeing it. But they want to make it so you don't benefit because they feel that you don't belong. Bahamians are being pushed out. The legal foreigners are coming and buying us out. That's the Chinese, the Europeans, the Americans, etc. They are outpricing us, causing us to not be able to afford property in our own country. And then the legal ones are coming and just taking the property. So what is left for Bahamians? Man, we got to stand up and take this back. And that's what we're going to do. We're going to go to that House of Assembly when they open it, and we are going to tell our government that they need to close our borders. They need to stop giving passports until we get a hand on what's going on. They need to stop the corruption. They need to investigate what I was told by persons in Haiti and Dominican Republic that visas are being sold for $8,000. They need to investigate this. Visas need to shut down until they can investigate this. We need to get a control on this. They need to go into Abaco, see what's going on. The Prime Minister just went to Abaco for a memorial service, the remembrance service. He didn't go to the Shanty Downs. He didn't send no one to the Shanty Downs. The immigration officers there told us that they got instructions to not touch, not border with the Haitians. They're building on Crown land, which we have shown documents to prove. They're building on Crown land. But the police here harassing Bahamians, I keep coming back to that. Because now we're fighting to get the same rights as the illegal immigrant.
My God.
You see what our country's come to? We are fighting to just have the
people-
same
the
rights.
The people who could make a difference were on Abaco
Mhm.
visiting, but they never go to Shanty Downs.
No, they did nothing.
They didn't go to anything
No.
like that to see what was happening.
No.
How could Clinton miss such a thing like that?
They didn't miss it. They know what's going on. The mud and pigeon peas was right across the street from immigration in Abaco. The mud and pigeon pea wasn't hiding from nobody, That is now destroyed, but it wasn't hiding from nobody. It was right across the road from immigration. It's called corruption. We don't owe Haiti anything. Just like Haiti don't owe us nothing. And yeah, some people saying, oh, they're your black brothers and sisters, etc. Okay. Open up Haiti so I can just come there. Haiti immigration law is so strict, you will get lost in jail if you land there illegally. I dare you. Anyone who says that they are brothers and sisters, just let them in. Anyone who says that, go land in Haiti illegally and see what happens. Overstay your landing permission and see what happens.
Not so in the Bahamas.
A foreigner cannot even buy land. You cannot own land in Haiti. They have laws to protect their nation.
The laws that we need.
They have laws that we need in our country. They have laws to protect their citizenship. And that even if you are a foreigner and they give you citizenship, you have to wait till a certain period of time to vote, to own land, etc. You could live there long and then become a citizen, but you got to wait to vote. Because you're not going to just come there and then you can't offer yourself for public office. You have to wait 5 years or 10 years, depending on what it is.
Maybe we should,
And you become president
maybe we
of
should
Haiti.
hire the Haitians to show us what to do. That's a good thing. Hard copy, are you there? All right. Hard copy, are you there? All right. All right. Listen, I better run and take a break, Steve. Let's take a break and be back and wrap things up here with Vacant Vein on the show today on Hard Copy.
Someone on the live says they don't know why they have those laws because one running there. That is not true. Haiti has trillions of dollars in natural resources. They found one mountain that is pure gold in Haiti while I was going there after the earthquake. And the Canadian government got permission to do 25% of the mountain, and the foreigners, the Canadians, the Americans, etc., is coming in and buying up all the land from the Haitians. Yep. And the Haitians didn't know why they was buying up all the land from them. I should have said this on the radio, but I'm still live. And so they were buying up all the land from the Haitians. I was stuck in Haiti for 2 months because all the flights was full with how much Canadians and Americans was coming into Haiti after the earthquake, not to do charity work, to do business. Because they was taking over the natural, they are full of natural resources, just like us. Okay? We have the more natural resources of sand, aragonite, etc. But there are people flocking there, but business people go in there to take advantage of what they have. Now, regular people like you wouldn't know about these opportunities or care about them, so you might want to flock to go there. But while they kicking up and killing each other, the wealthy people right there, they're undisturbed. They can hear the gunshots outside the walls, but they partying. They're enjoying themselves. They have 800,000 millionaires. 800,000. So yes, people are flocking to Haiti. When you go to Miami this summer, you might still be traveling. Go to American Airlines, etc., that's going into Haiti, go look at the line. And you will see how much foreigners go look at Air Canada. If you're in Canada, the flight going to Haiti, go look at the line and see all of the foreign white people going into Haiti. And ask them, just have a conversation, they'll talk. Why are you going to Haiti? Business.
That's right.
They have a special process. Their process in Haiti where if you're coming there for business, you even go through immigration. They will meet you at the plane, take you to a special lounge. They will stamp your documents and your limo, whatever, comes and picks you up. That is the process that I went through every time. If you're coming there for business, because they did a special process for business persons. Yeah, coming there. They protected this. And so what they did was some of the foreigners found a loophole. And when I said it was by land, they was buying it in a company name. They would come and form a Haitian company and then let that Haitian company buy the land. See, the foreigners always find a loophole. See, the foreigner can't own land, but a foreign company can. And they had to do that to allow hotels like Marriott to build a hotel, et cetera, et cetera. So they sneak in that loophole and they form a foreign company, and then they let that company buy up all the land from the Haitian people. All right? And so these are the kinds of things that is happening there. We have to wake up and we have to educate ourselves and stop listening to politicians. Everything they are doing, they're trying to deceive you. Don't fall for the crumbs. Don't fall for the crumbs, y'all. Don't fall for them trying to play nice. They ain't nice. They making money. That big party last night to celebrate the deaths of those people. And while they're celebrating the deaths of those people, Steve, they was putting out Bahamians out of the domes and throwing them in the street with nowhere to live. These are people who celebrating and remembering. While you remembering them and you got CC praying for them, you kicking them on the street. This country isn't a real place. Oh, that was so sweet. That was a nice little ceremony, and that was so. The old woman in the dome crying. She in the shower and the fella's trying to break down her door and they taping her in. They locking her in while she in there. But we have in concert. Oh Lord.
There was them got to be a joke, man.
Oh my God. I don't know how much more of this we could take. But I can tell you one thing.
Yeah,
Still live.
Yeah, live. Yeah. Thanks, Dave. Yeah. So if we don't do what is right by next election, that's it. That's it. And the politicians could destroy this country because they could go live in any country. In fact, Steve, I could jump up right now and go north and never come back. I don't have to be here fighting.
I know.
My kids don't live here. I could jump up and go to any country right now and live and do well and live happily ever after. In fact, I go to Haiti ever after. I go to America. I go to Canada. I go wherever I want. But this is the only country I love. This is the only place I feel like home. I could go away after I've been there for 2 weeks, man. I feeling. Listen. Are you ready for some conch salad, some bamboo shack? I just every time I come from the airport, straight to bamboo shack. I would need them every day when I but I start to miss it.
Yeah.
I miss my, I don't eat conch salad hardly when I but when I go away and come back, I gotta go for my conch salad.
You missed that.
I miss it. I need some sauce. We're the only country in the world that do sauce. Can't get sauce nowhere else.
We just do some serious pig feet sauce, boy.
Serious pig feet.
What the fellas say, Stephen Molly?
Yeah.
Pig feet.
Big.
Pig feet. Oh yeah. Gotta have that pig feet sauce. You ever had that song?
No, I remember that one.
Yeah, that's a new song.
Yeah. Oh.
We can play it after the show, Steve. Pig. Have some pig feet sauce. Coming back. Yeah, coming back now.
Time to rock.
You pick up your telephone. We all go to the throne. Steve Mckinney bringing us, fighting against the system, taking a better way. As we struggle day by day, singing, I know Jah never let us down. Oh no, talking with God. I know Jah never let us down. Oh no, look at him. They make the world so hard, so hard. You got people fighting. They make the world so cold, so every day people are dying. Dread, hunger, starvation, lamentation. Read it in Revelation. You'll find your redemptions. You can't give us the teachings of His Majesty. We don't want no devil philosophy. Tell them, Steve, give us Bahamas the lie. We don't want no devil philosophy.
Welcome back to the September the 2nd. Yep, and we're counting down the days until they go back to the House of Assembly, and they are going to try to bring about the citizenship bill and all that kind of stuff. But of course, you've heard so much today about that today, and Lincoln Bean and company are going to be keeping us up to date on those matters because we are watching it. We're watching it with great interest. We know that these fellas are up to something. That something is bit of no good. And certainly we're going to be watching that with interest this time around. Of course, Lincoln Bain, one of the things that we have to talk about very quickly as we are running out of time is the fact that Dorian, we haven't done enough, is what the Prime Minister says. And this is after 3 years after 1 year in office, 3 years as far as the hurricane is concerned. And for some reason, they didn't. They either came into office not knowing that this hurricane had happened, because they didn't come and do anything much on the hurricane. People are still suffering, and everybody's in the Tribune and the Guardian and talking about how we only need the help that he's supposed to get. And Davis is talking about the PM promises stronger help for storm survivors and all kinds of stuff. It's just a lot of public relations, as one former prime minister said. Just a lot of public relations. And they're good at that.
Yeah.
And I don't know if that's going to help them any down the road, but we will see how best they are at that when it comes to this whole citizenship bill thing in just a minute. But what are your thoughts on this whole Dorian thing? The fact that you were down there in Abaco, you heard what the people said. You got some things done for a change down there, because you're not the government, but you got some things done with the business people.
Yeah.
Doing some special things down there. And now that the Prime Minister has gone down and visited these people, what do you think is going to happen? What's the expectation now? Do you think that he's going to actually do some things now that he says that we haven't done enough? We're going to do some more.
Oh, hell no. I can't say it any better than that. He's going to do nothing for those people. The fact that while you're down there, that they're in Spring City kicking people out of the domes, literally. The same people you say you care about and you're remembering. You're there for remembrance service, and you are kicking them out of the domes while you're having during the week of the remembrance service.
Is that what they're doing now?
Yes.
That's what they're doing?
Yes.
My
The
goodness.
people are there fighting. I got calls all last week, the week before, even while we were there. You know, people were talking to us. How could they say they're having a remembrance service and they're kicking us out? One old lady said, I have nowhere to go. I'm here with my grandchild and my child. I have nowhere to go. They are talking about having a concert. While they were having that concert, they have people with nowhere to go, kicking them out, literally, telling them they have until this date to get out. Only in the Bahamas, where nothing makes sense. Like, they are having big celebration now, so got CC Winans praying for the people while they're kicking the people on the street.
I hope that they're going to answer that. That cannot be right. If that's true. Not that I don't believe you. I'm saying that's got to be the biggest error they've ever made. That's terrible public relations, if it is.
So what they doing now, what they did afterwards, they realized that they have no legal right to kick those persons out because one, there's an injunction stopping them from taking back any land in Abaco, that is unregulated community, and they realize that you have to go to court to kick people out. So now they're saying, oh, we'll give you $4,000. They didn't say if that's for everyone to share or each. They just didn't say. All right.
So
But
where they
persons,
get this money from, though? Where they getting this money from to
I don't
share
know.
out with people like that?
But persons moved out from 3 weeks ago now, and they said they ain't get nobody yet. I think with me mentioning this and saying this over and over, they have to get them the money, right? But they haven't yet. And it's disgraceful. Why wouldn't you give them the money to help them move out? Why would you tell them when you move, then I give you the money? That's not like you dangling a carrot. And you're never going to get that carrot. And even if you get it, the lowest rent you can find in Abaco is about $1,000, and there's nowhere to rent. They don't have enough rentals. The lowest rent you're gonna get is about $1,000. So that means that with first last security, that money gone. You could be back out in the street. This is another catastrophe brewing. They're talking nonsense about they're gonna go build some low cost homes down there again. But which one of these people could afford to get that loan? Which one of them can qualify? They can't qualify. This place is not a real place for Bahamians.
What's going to happen, Lincoln, at the end of the day now that, let's say these people pass this bill, rush this bill through? This bill is now at the beginning process. They're sneaking things through, as you have claimed and made, other people have made the claim. What's going to happen at the end of the day? Are you going to have another big town meeting? What's going to happen? What does the people of the Bahamas need to know now that Lincoln Bain has up his sleeve right now to deal with this whole matter on shanty towns?
We are going to visit the government at our House of Assembly, and we're calling on all Bahamians to come with us to stand up. If 1,000 to 5,000 people show up in Rawson Square, they can demand anything from the government, including having them step down. Anything. This is international law. And we see it all over the world. When people fill the public square, the government gets a call from the international community, you got to step down. There's treaties they've signed on to. These are conventions. They must step down. And this is the only time the minority gets to speak. Normally, it's the majority rule. But a minority of the people can hit the squares and tell you, don't pass that bill no more. And you cannot pass that. They can tell you, step down. And you must step down. That is the law. And we see it on the news every day, Steve.
Mhm.
But Bahamians
We
don't
do
know
see
their
it.
power because they never educate
Never
us
tested
about
us.
our power. You see? And so we have to go and demand. We have to make certain demands. Why can't we have our freedom of information enacted? So when we go in the square, we need to demand our freedom of information. We need to know what's going on. These people are lying. They're covering up. They are saying that they are doing this good PR because they want to be transparent. You're not transparent about nothing. You're not answering any questions. You're not telling us what's going on.
But when you go down there this time around to the House of Assembly, you're going to go with a particular focus in mind. And that focus should be on the citizenship and that kind of.
Yes, we are going to present.
Because you don't want people to get all sidetracked with all these other
Yes.
things. You've got to stick with the focus of this would be here for. Damn it, we've come to deal with this matter right now.
Yes.
Yeah.
And that's why we're going there. We're going to make sure that they don't go against the Constitution by bringing this bill. They don't go against the voice of the people by bringing any bill. If you want a gender equality bill, go back to the people and tell them why we need to have it. And only bring the gender equality part of it in your questions in the referendum. Don't mix it with nothing else.
I agree with that.
Bring it to the people and say, we want a referendum and we want to bring the gender equality, and this is what it's going to say, and this is how it's going to be worded. And then all of us can say, that sounds like a good idea. Let's go with that. And is that the stuff you all talk about? We're not for that.
Scrap that.
Enough of the political tricks. If you want to change it, go to the House because we didn't tell you no twice. And no means no. And that's it. We cannot open the door for all these foreigners to overtake us politically. Now, people say, oh, the Chinese are here and this and that, whatever. The Chinese are not trying to take us over politically.
Right?
They're not trying to govern our country like these persons are. They're trying to become prime minister. They're trying to fill the House of Assembly. They're trying to go. That last immigration recruitment that they had, pay attention. Now, the police is recruiting, but they're not really advertising to the Bahamian people to tell them the police right now, there's a hiring exercise going on right now. Everyone under the sound of my voice who has a young person in their house who needs a job, and they are organic Bahamians, please send them to join the police force. Because right now, some papers getting full out with some other names on it.
They ain't no Bahamian.
That's right.
And this is a plot why they are recruiting all of these people. Please, if you have a son, a daughter who can join the police force right now, they are recruiting, but they're not telling you. They are hiring right now. Send them to apply to join our police force because there's a plot to overthrow us. So when the clarion call comes, stand with us. We're headed to Freeport. We're going to be there at the BUT Center on Sunday the 18th at 5 o'clock. And so we're calling all of the people in Grand Bahama to be there with us. And we're going to continue traveling the Bahamas and educating the Bahamian people.
Lincoln, man, I appreciate you very much. I think that, You're a hero in many regards because the things you do, some people never would have the nerve to do these things that you do. And then you know what you're talking about, and you backed it up with some paper to the point where you have been able to understand what is actually happening and present your papers before the crowd, and they're saying, you know something, this fellow is making sense, and nobody can answer him. Why can't they answer him? And that's the beauty of the whole thing. You make sense, and they cannot answer you, and you have to wonder, well, how come these guys can't even answer what Lincoln Bain is saying? He's been saying a lot of things. At first, they start out by saying, "Oh, he's irrational. You know, he's unreliable. You know, don't trust him." Those things were passing fancy. Now that's behind it. Lincoln Bain is in full gear. He's saying some things, and these people better listen. If they don't listen, they're gonna feel it. Because Lincoln has got a whole big crowd with him. And that crowd is a crowd that people cannot measure. They don't even know who's with Lincoln. All they know is that he got plenty of people with him. If they did their SID surveillance and stuff, they didn't know that something is happening. And then on top of that, not that you want to put anyone in jeopardy, but a lot of them supporting what is being said because they are perfectly on page with you. They ain't not playing no thing with letting some other people come and run this country.
Yeah.
That's a serious thing. You got a good point there.
Yeah.
Anyway, we appreciate you very much, and we hope to get back.
And I must make sure I make this clear. Before you change any citizenship bill, we must amend the Constitution to make sure that no one who is not born here, a legitimate Bahamian, or born to a Bahamian outside this country, can become Prime Minister of this nation. We must make sure that only organic Bahamians, that's a person born inside or outside of this country to a Bahamian, can become Prime Minister and leader of this country. That is important, or we will be done. A gang leader from Haiti can jump on the boat right now, get citizenship in this country, and run for Prime Minister. Before you change our citizenship laws to open that up, to loosen that, to slack that up, to let anything happen, that must happen. It is the law in America, it's the law in Haiti. It's the law everywhere else.
Absolutely. Thank you so much. 14 past the hour, 7 o'clock. We've gone over time, but it's been worth it. You've learned a whole lot about citizenship and the rest of it. And now we get ready for some other things that's going to happen over the next few weeks. Stick and stay. Don't go away. Be listening out big time for the House of Assembly meeting with Mr. Ryan Benton and company. We'll see how that goes. Thank you very much. Stevie, let's roll the drums and go home. Today's show has been brought to you by Island Alternators and Starters, Mark and Steve on Soldier Road, Captain Lumber on Parkade Road, Cool Tech on Tulip Williams Darling Highway, Super Value, the All Bahamian Supermarkets, Mckinney Media Group, Executive Printers, also by Ron's Electric Motors, Bahamas Foot and Ankle on Blake Road, Super Wash with locations everywhere, Advantage Insurance and Brokers, 61 College Avenue, Clothesline on the way on Robinson Road, M&J Maintenance on Abundant Life Road, GAW Auto Parts on Abundant Life Road. That's our show for this week. It's been a very interesting week, and we'll come back again, God willing, next week to do it all over again. Big shows planned for next week again, my friend, and you don't want to miss it. And so that's our show for today, but we're going to end the show program tonight with a little bit of some native food, some pig feet sauce. You ever had pig feet sauce? Well, Steve and Molly got some pig feet sauce they want you to take out. They want you to check on this pig feet sauce. Got to have that pig feet. Pig feet. This is the weekend, so you got to have that pig feet.
I want to thank all of y'all for I'm going to see you very soon. The women's branch election is coming up on September 11th. Make sure you are there at Anatole Rogers, 7 p.m. And we are going to Graham. See you next time.
Yeah, thank you, so. That's a hit, you know.
Big Pete's house.
Big Pete's house. Boy. Yeah, boy, we like that song.
Chicken sauce, mutton sauce, cheap don't do. I can fix some better than the natives do. But listen, all I said, this on what I got.
These little fellas just scrap that together, you know.
Wow.
These fellas buy to them. By the way. Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
I ain't never seen big feet. Huh? Hey, this song to make me what, Jack?
Yeah, they did. So let's keep in touch, man.